Right.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. My name is Saheed Jimo, and you're all welcome to this webinar that we have today, organized by Preferred Consult. And I'll be your host today. And the topic that we have is navigating modern careers. And when you talk about modern careers, I don't know what comes to our mind. And that's what we want to explore today. So the first thing I want us to understand is there are many things out there when you say modern careers. We are overwhelmed by many things that we can choose as a career these days. Something that is very common everywhere is skit making in Nigeria now. People want to make quick money. So, and when I was doing this digging and making my research to what are modern careers, there are about 12 of them that were identified by Indeed. And they were talking about becoming a personal trainer, talking about photography, social media influencer, talking about social media analyst, and so on and so forth, including digital marketing as well. And then you'll be surprised to talk about customer service representative. But what we are here today to talk about is like, we want to actually identify those ones that will be beneficial to every one of us, particularly our youth. Because as they say, the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. So if we don't do our bit to guide our youth of today, we don't want them to go the wrong path. Some of us, we were challenged in choosing careers when we started life. We had some people out there that guided us, guided our thoughts, that today we are where we are. So that's what we hope to come out as a result of this presentation today. And without any further ado, I would like to introduce my brother, Mubarak Adeyemo, who is a business application developer, and is no other person that can do justice to this topic other than himself. So I'll hand over the reign to you. My brother, I can see you're prepared. 30 minutes to present, and then we'll take questions from everybody. Please, I purposely turned everybody's mic off. I want us to gain a lot. If you have any question, use the hand raise button. And you know, we are lucky Zoom will arrange you in that order. So we'll take questions from that way. And with the way things are, we'll break out at some point and we'll let you know. So my brother, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Within the next few minutes, we're going to be having a very interesting interaction. We didn't call it a one-sided conversation. I know we would not be able to talk, but we'll be able to do a lot of chatting. So please get comfortable. We're going to have this topic. Now, what I have been able to do is to just do my own research and just to, collate everything for us. I'm not going to take credit for most of the wisdom that we're going to get from here today because they are all out there. And I'm sure, would have gotten to this conclusion by at our own pace. But I'm just fortunate to be sitting here this afternoon to have this conversation, to lead this conversation. Hopefully, by the end of this session, we would also bring in some other experts, people that have a lot of experience, and they'll be also to share one or two things with us. So without further ado, we just get into it. Now, like I said, we're going to be doing a lot of typing, and just for us to get into this, I'd like us to just quickly answer some of these questions. You know what? Ignore the last one. That is meant to be for a different session. So what are our expectations for the next few minutes? What do we think we're going to gain from this? And for those of us that have not started a career yet or just starting a career, what careers would interest us? And then the question is, why those careers that you've selected? Now, we know the topic says modern careers, but we're going to expand this a little bit just to be able to conceptualize, modern careers and other ones that are around them. So let's have it. What are your expectations for this session? What do you want to learn? Now, I'm not going to wait for us to respond, but I'm going to come back to our response. So please, just for us to put all of that in there, and then we just march into it. Now, just also to let us know that this presentation is almost for those that are about to start their careers or just that are still at the inception of their careers. So you might be hearing some things that looks like, oh, I already know this. So please just bear with us. The idea is that with this conversation, we'll be able to also share this with our, offsprings, with our mentees, with our, siblings, our younger ones, and be able to give them some direction. So the content of this presentation is going to be highlighted as such. We're going to be talking about something I find very interesting. We're going to talk about an intro into modern careers. We're going to talk about personality traits and careers, and then we would quickly go into some things that you probably would not, hear anyone tell you in school. And then we go into some of the stories that I said we would have the privilege to listen to today. So let's talk about the paradox of age. Oh my, I'm supposed to start the timer. Sorry. So let's talk about the paradox of age and wisdom, right? This is something I find very interesting, and this is one of the greatest tragedies of life. And the paradox is that as you become wiser in life, you learn some things, you learn some of the universal truths, but then you have less time to apply them to yourself. You have learned some things only by the fact that, you've grown older. So what happened is that you try to pass this information, this knowledge down to the people, coming behind you, and then they won't listen, you know, they just would not be able to appreciate what you're saying because they have to experience that. So they have to only experience that through the experience of life. They have to go through these things for them to really appreciate what you're saying. And then they grow older, they remember those things that they were told some couple of years ago, and then they try to do the same thing, and then the cycle goes on. So this is the tragedy of life. And the point there is just that we are not supposed to reinvent the wheel. We should not do things that people have already learned, things that have been tried and tested over the years. You should not do the same thing. Careers that people have tried and made their insight into, you should not do the same mistakes, or you should not repeat some of the things that people have done in the past. You should be able to take off all of those advantage and build on that. And just a little bit of a pop culture thing. If I give you a time machine right now, where would you want to go? Would you want to go to the past, or would you want to go to the future? Now, the reason for this is that for me, I mean, there's a lot of things that I know now that I wish I knew way back in the past. And I would have loved to really, I would have loved to know those things in the past. Maybe they would have shaped some of the decisions I've made in life. So that is the wisdom I want to share with us today. And I hope that we can read more into this than I've just stated. So what is a career, and why think about a career, and why this career that you're thinking about, and what suits you? These are questions that we get to answer, we get to ask ourselves at a very young age. Some of our kids that are going into that are just got into junior schools, in the next few years or few months, they start asking them about what courses are you going to take. You have to choose. You have to choose either sciences or business or financial. You have to choose any of that. And most of the time, parents, especially African parents, would probably we are always in that very noble seat to decide for them. But then, it's a thing that we probably would do with the best of intention, but then the outcome might not just be the best eventually. So the question is, what are the careers out there? Why do we need to think about the career at that tender age? Why don't we just wait until we are older and then just try some of these things? And if you've selected a career, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be this. Why are you choosing that? Is it because everybody around you is choosing that? Is it because you've been told that's the best? Is it because does it suit you? Is that what you really want to do? You wouldn't know. And those are the questions that you have to ask yourselves. Now, I'll quickly skip through the normal everyday things that people we tell ourselves. If you need to select a career, it's actually very straightforward as far as people are concerned. You go to the university, you write jam, you have very high hopes, but then whatever happens, you just pick the course that the university decides to give to you. You go to vocational education. Some people, you would ask them why. Some people that are not privileged to go for formal learning, they want to go for blue collar jobs. They would probably want to go to vocational training, and then you ask them what do you want to do, they would just mention something just because it's the only thing that they're aware of, so that those are the ways people would normally choose their careers. And these are not bad ways of choosing careers. These are things that you probably have to do eventually. but the reality is that you have to go through an education path. Now, the next thing is that people also go through continuous learning. Some of the time, these are the things that dictates what your career would be. You probably would have gone through school, but then you would go through some other things around you, and then they would also help you to shape what career you select. And eventually, we also talk about soft skills. Some people will be told that, oh, this is what you should do because it suits you. You know, you have this communication thing, you are very good at that. And then, some people would go into being into mass media or mass communication because of the kind of, the kind of soft skills they have. And some people go into problem solving careers because of the kind of soft skills they have. So all of these are the normal ways that people choose careers. But before we go into choosing career, I like us to go through something that is very popular in various versions. We have the personality trait assessment. These are different tested and tried methods where people try to define what personality traits are. I think one of the most common one is the DISC personality assessment tool. The DISC personality assessment tool has been used by a lot of people all over the world to help them to determine what kind of personality they have, what kind of and how can they improve on themselves. So basically, the DISC personality assessment tool groups people into four different categories. We have the red, the yellow, the green, and the blue. Now, just to define what all of that means. Now, so the red are the set of individuals that are seen to be domineering. They are people that tend to be very confident, and then there are people that place a lot of emphasis on results, how to get things done. People that are very forceful in what they do. So these are people that are referred to as red in nature, and all of these are usually natural. So you would have someone that has a very strong personality, and they're very dominant. When they are in the room, everybody knows they're in the room. They are just like that. They have the energy to just keep going on and on and on and on. And those are the kind of people that would do very well in a career that requires dominance, that requires results, that requires to be very direct and competitive, so to speak. Then we have the yellow individuals, people that are said to be, between outgoing and people oriented. Sort of, they have a little bit of a balance in that they are much more about people. They can influence. They are very enthusiastic about things. They are friendly, and then they're very optimistic about things. They're just that kind of personality. Now, I probably would go through some slide that would show us how all of these personalities, how they excel in different careers, and what kind of personality would actually excel in a particular career. And that's what's going to be the meat of this presentation. So then we also have the green. Green individuals are said to be people that are reserved. Naturally, they're just reserved. They are steadfast, they're sincere, they're patient, they're modest, they listen to individuals, they listen to you when you talk, they are compassionate, they can empathize, they don't want the limelight for themselves, they just want everybody around them to be fine. That's the kind of personality they have. And then we have the blue personality. These are people that are, you know, um, very tax oriented. They're also reserved to some extent. They are tax oriented. They are very focused on, numbers. They just want the bottom line. These are the sort of people that will correct you if you get your facts wrong. These are the people that would tell you why, you have to measure that accurately. People that are so much about, machines and how to relate to things that are not human. They don't usually have that human side. Now, why am I bringing this up? I think this is one tool that we all need to get very comfortable at. We need to determine what kind of personality we have, because the kind of personality we have would actually give us a very good leverage in the type of career we select. We would go through the careers later, but you would already see that if you have a kind of particular personality, and if you go for a career that is just tangent to that, you might find it difficult to excel. Let me give us an example. Sales, people that are meant to be in sales, we all know how people talk about sales. It's a very rewarding career. Sky's your limit and all of that. Now, for someone that is a red in nature, in personality, they are the kind of people that are out there influencing people, making you change your mind. These are the set of people that can sell snow to an Eskimo. These are the personality they have. They don't have to learn it. It's just what they are. Now, this kind of person in a sales career, naturally, they have much more higher opportunity to excel. If you have somebody like a green, somebody that is just, reserved, somebody that would just want to be on their own, if you have them in sales, if they go for a career in sales, they're probably going to struggle a lot. And, so one other thing I would also mention is that you don't have to have one of these traits um, as a person. You might have a mix of that. You might have red being, 90% of who you are, and the other colors just sharing the 10%. You can have yellow being 80% of who you are, and then you can share the rest. You can have blue being 50% of who you are, and then maybe yellow as 50% of who you are. Maybe you can swap in between the two. So these are the kind of um, you know attributes that individual would possess, and they need to know this because this gives them that first step in answering the kind of questions, answering the question, what career would they select? Why do I need to go for this career? Why would I excel in that? Now, I would, like I said, there are a lot of personality tools, assessment tools out there. We can just Google online and find out more about personality tests. So the bottom line here, what I want us to take away from here is that before you want to advise anyone on the kind of career they will select, depending on, regardless of the situation, you want to know what kind of career, what kind of trait they have. And I think this would push them in a long way to excel. Let me take an example. Somebody in cybersecurity, they have to have a very high component of being a blue person because this is the kind of career that you sit down with machines. You have to be accurate. You cannot get that code wrong. You can write 1,000 lines of code. You don't put that semicolon where over there, it's not going to work. You want to be the kind of person that is accurate, that just is able to go through figures. So if you have somebody that's a yellow, trying to get into IT, especially those that require being very accurate, they have a lot of gap to bridge, and that's one step that you need to keep up with. So going forward, let's quickly jump into, before we talk about the different personalities and the careers that have been mapped to them, let's talk about some of the things that you would not be told in school, or some of the things that you would get to learn as we go in our careers or as we grow older. Now, there's always one thing about, social media that has a lot of advantage. And I would say that as far as career is concerned, if we're talking about a very simple tool that can help you define what kind of career or what are the steps you have to take to get to a career, I think LinkedIn is one of those things that you need to do. Let me give us an example. If I want to become a cybersecurity and I've never met a cybersecurity expert, what do I need to do? Probably just need to go to LinkedIn and probably Google a cybersecurity expert. Now, I would probably see the primary school they went to. Okay, no, maybe not primary school. The university they went to. I will see all the courses, all the different what's it called, all the different extracurricular activities that they got involved in. I'll be able to compare how one cybersecurity expert has been able to, excel more than the others, because I can sit down, being very academic about it, and look at this map. Just like when you have to navigate to a particular location, and the Google map is telling you you have 5 different routes. You can sit down and spend some time to figure out how you can get, what's the best route to get to that place. And this is what LinkedIn is able to offer. So what I do most of the days, most of the time, when somebody asks me a question on how do they want to go about, how would they go about a particular career? How would I become a surgeon? How would I become, a cybersecurity expert? How would I become a drone pilot? How do I become, a machine learning expert? Go out there, go to LinkedIn, look for a machine learning expert, see the courses they are gone through. I've been told that if you want to be a lawyer and your focus is on some particular level of practice, there's some universities that you have to go to. So, for example, maybe it's just a movie. We've heard that some firms would only take people from a particular university. They will not take others. If you don't go to that university, you're not going to have a career, a successful career, sort of, in that particular sector. So, the bottom line here is that you probably need to sit down with LinkedIn, not to go through the posts. People put up a lot of other interesting things that are just noises, or things that would be disencourage, that would be, what's the word, that would not encourage you in your particular career. But on the side of what you can get, you can do that. And this is not only for those people that are starting their career. We'll talk about pivoting your career in the next few lines. This is also something that is important. So if you probably have been in a particular career and now you think, oh, maybe it's time for me to pivot to something else. You want to change your career. Where do you start? Where you can start is just go to LinkedIn, look for somebody that is in that particular area that you are aspiring to be, go through their journey of life, and you might get a lot of insight. And this also takes me to the issue of having a mentor. I've heard a lot of mentors say that some of the things that piss them off is when somebody says, can you mentor me? And they just come open-handed without any question. They just come, so mentor me, tell me things that I should know. This, a lot of mentors will tell you, they don't have time for stuff like that. They want you to come to ask them questions. So for example, you've gone through someone's LinkedIn profile. There's some things that just doesn't make any sense. You've gone through 15 different profiles, and now you're like, so what's the best route to get here? This is the kind of conversation you want to have with someone. You don't even have to tell them you need to mentor me. What you want to say is that, oh, I have these options, I have that option, I've seen these options. What do you think? And then because you've already done that research, they're able to now focus on answering your questions. And before you know it, you now have concrete answers backed by evidence, backed by research, backed by people that have the experience to tell you what next to do. So uh, I think the bottom line is that LinkedIn is one social media tool that you have to get very comfortable at. You need to understand how it works and get to use that to your advantage. Now, the next point I would make here is I was trying to figure out the best way to do this. So just ignore the sentence itself. I'll just try to coin it in my head. So you know, when we talk about careers, some of us think that the only reason why you want to get a career is for economic freedom. Some people don't need careers for economic freedom. Some people are born into reality. Some people are born into just having, they just want to be busy. So for them, this line is not for them. So if your family is already made and you just want to have a career, you probably can just you'll be fine without economic freedom being your main goal. But if economic freedom is the main goal of selecting a career, I would want us to rethink the concept of a single career. Now let me break this down a little bit. We look at experts, the notable guys in, let's say, IT. Let's take Brother Saeed Jima, for example. He's a cybersecurity expert, but I'm sure he has also delved into marketing. He knows so much about marketing. He knows so much about setting up a company. He knows so much about how to manage people. He knows so much about tax. He has to know so much about tax. So now you are in a career that is a cybersecurity that is meant to get you to be an expert in cybersecurity. But if economic freedom is what you want, you have to pick some other things by the side. If you have to excel in that position, you have to pick some other things to it. So soft skills are usually what people would recommend, but now you see that soft skills are even becoming more, institutionalized. You can actually go for some trainings that would get you set up. Project management, you would think that it's something that it's a career that goes through a regimented training and development session. But if you think about it, it is just how to manage people and projects and time and all of that. So the point I'm making here is that if economic freedom is your goal, you have to rethink how you go about things. Now, when I was in school, I studied biochemistry at the university. Some of us were just about biochemistry, how we can just get those, pathway in our head and all of that. But when it was time for project, it was time for us to get to know how to use a computer. It was time for us to know how to, type our projects and get it sorted. Some people were just lost. They know nothing about how to do that. So the point I'm making here is that as much as we want you to focus on a career, know that you have to diversify. You have to pick some other things by the side, some soft skills, some other things that would encourage you. Look at the world right now. Everybody's talking about AI, and I think one of my favorite quotes about AI is that AI is not going to take your job, but somebody that knows AI is going to take your job. And as it is, that is almost true for almost every job out there today. So for us, we need to pick our careers, but beyond that, beyond having a single career, beyond having that single job, you also have to pick some other things by the side, and that's why those are the things that would support your career to get to the extreme success that you want it to go to. I hope we have questions on this to clarify my point. Then we talk about critical thinking. That's a key. Today I see a lot of people sitting down, watching news, watching TV, all of that. And like, we need to be able to read in between the lines. We need to be able to see what the news is not saying, what the politician is not saying. When you look at the roadmap of or the roadmap of a country, you need to be able to look at that and think critically. How would this change things in the future? there's been a lot of talk about cryptocurrency. There's been a lot of talk about AI. There's been a lot of talk about, how things are going to change. Now, some of these things, nobody really has an answer to it. But what you need to do is to be able to think critically, to be able to bring out your own point and stay by their side. Now, just give us an example, cryptocurrency. If we've been reading about the dollarization that the BRICS is bringing to the world, we can already see that there's going to be a problem with dollar unless the US does something as they would normally do about it. So what this means is that there might be a need to actually start picking up some other languages. There might be a need to start thinking about, oh, so what is interesting in other parts of in other parts of the world. These are some of the skills that we need to be able to get into ourselves, to be able to draw our own paths. These are things that would define, that would help us, clarify our paths and get us to be prepared to have that career, especially in the modern time where things are changing so drastically. Now, I will spend a lot of time, some few minutes on this one. I don't want us to, a lot of people confuse their hobbies with passions. Let me give us an example, and I'm very sorry for this. I don't mean to rain on anybody's, I don't mean to discourage anybody. I'm not a football fan, but a lot of people have passion for, they would say they have passion for football, and then they want to probably invest in a football career. What a lot of people have passion for is the passion for watching football. They have hobbies. They are hobbies as far as football is concerned. And this is extremely important because for you to have a successful career, you have to be passionate about that career. Now, when we say passion, what do we mean? What we mean is that you have a total mastery of that skills of that subject matter. You have to be extremely good at it, and that's when you have a passion for something. You can't say you have a passion for something and then you are just an hobbyist. Because if you think that, oh, this is my passion, and you're just an hobbyist, you might get into that career thinking you are so good at it, only to find out that, 1% of the 1% of people that excel in that career, you don't even have what it takes to be good at it. We have people that are passionate about watching football, and then they might mistake that into thinking, I should probably take a career in football. We have people that are passionate in, for example, maybe you are a graphic artist. You're an hobbyist. You know how to use a camera, and you think, oh, I probably should be a graphic artist. I probably should do all of this. If you don't have a passion for it, you have a long way to go to be able to bring all of that together to be able to excel at that. So please don't confuse your passion for your hobbies. Let your hobbies be let your hobbies be what you are going to continue to improve on, but your passion is going to come from a mastery of that subject matter. And when you have passion, that's when you can succeed, especially in this capitalist society. Also, economic security is a good thing. We talked about why you should have a career. It's a good thing. You have a career not because you want to make somebody else happy or you want to make money for, to, it's important for you to live life to the fullest. So when we talk about having life, having opportunities that, you would enjoy, you want to go into a career that allows you to not worry about economy. You want to worry about your economy or your financial status. You want to have a career that would ensure that you have time for your family, you are able to wake up every day, you are able to just love what you do, and that would define what kind of career you select. So if you want to just pick, for example, medicine, because everybody say medicine is what you have to do, and you're not the kind of person that would enjoy it, and it's not going to make you money, then you haven't selected the right career. So when you're selecting that, you need to think about why you want to go into a career. Economics is one of that, and every other things that are around it. And lastly, we'll talk about pivots. When you have spent some few years and you've realized, looks like I'm not in the right career, you better pivot. You don't have to continue to invest that number of years into that career when you know that it is not the best for you. It's okay to pivot. I mean, before now, it wasn't something interesting, but now we have seen people that have gone through medical school going back to furniture. Is a particular guy that is so good. He has passion for furniture, and after going through university, he has gone to go to furniture. So if you have to pivot, you better do that on time. Don't delay. Go into that and get into it as soon as possible. Now, that is the few point I like to pick. I'm sure we're gonna have people that will add to that. But while we're still here, let's talk about some of the modern careers, and we're gonna talk about it in relation to the personality trait. So I'm not gonna sit down here and talk about medicine, cybersecurity. I'm not gonna do that. I hope some people will be able to do that even much more better than I can. But the point here is that let's look at the personality traits that aligns with some of the careers that we have out there. So for technology careers, now we're going to give as this example, software developers, one of the technology careers we have out there. We're data scientists, cybersecurity experts, AI, machine learning experts, all of that. Now, what kind of personality do you have to excel in that? And we will see this in our kids. So I've talked about the fact that somebody that has that is referred to as being a blue, conscientious, accurate, compliant, just able to focus on. They are the kind of people that would excel in this kind of career. So if you can match that to this already, you can see the kind of career that you want to select. And what kind of skills do you need in that? Of course, going through your university, your continuous learning, your soft skill. You have to have problem solving skills. You have to have you need to know coding. You need to know analytical thinking. And what are the things that they do? They get involved in interesting projects. They create all the things around us. I was going to share an infographics of some of the things that technology has done for us within the last few years. And I think I spent so much time just appreciating that graph that I even forgot to put it in my slide. But it's how there we can find out what technology has done for us in the past few years. And what this simply means is that in terms of selecting a career, at least for now, technology careers are still something that you can still evolve in because they seems to be on the high trend. They're still going up and they're not slowing down. Healthcare careers, what kind of person do you want to be in an healthcare career? You want to talk about people that are green, people that are, that focus on others, people that have empathy, people that, like to just not be the bright light in the room. They want to just make sure everybody around them is comfortable. And these are the kind of careers that they might involve in. So, doctor, medical researchers, psychiatrists, all of that. We all know that we can Google all of that. Just put Google, healthcare careers into Google search and all of that comes out. But that's, I think, is one thing that you need to know. Creative careers. So we talked about creative careers. So one of the modern careers that are out there that don't been around for so long, graphic artist, filmmaker, writer, game designer. Those are creative careers. Those are things that require you to sit down and think about things. Now, I do a little bit of a creative endeavor sometimes, and I know how difficult it can be if you are not in that kind of mindset where you are very positive about life. So somebody that is referred to as a yellow would probably excel in this career. And like I said, it is not 100% of that trait. It can just be that it's the domineering trait you have. Environmental careers. So these are modern careers. We have environmental scientists, conservationists. There's a lot of NGOs and a lot of money being talked about into conservation of the of the environment. In some part of the world, they are talking about moving from fossil fuel to renewable energy. They have a lot of research that has to be done. Those are interesting careers that you can get involved in. And those are some of the skills that you require. And again, the personality trait, you want to be somebody that is, of course, you want to be. No, so now we look at this kind of career, you don't need one domineering trait. You need a mix of that. You need to be somebody that cares about the environment, which is something you find in a blue, and then in a green, sorry, and then think about someone that's is very accurate with figures that can measure things and all of that. So all of these are things that you can mix together to get into that. Let's talk about business and finance careers. Now we talk about entrepreneurs, accountants, financial analysts. Those are still things that we people do. And you talk about the trait that are associated with them. Someone that is a red, somebody that's a go-getter, so to speak, somebody that can sell snow to an Eskimo. They will excel in a business career because that's what it requires. And they also have to have a aid for numbers. They have to be good at that too. Uh, Public service careers, those are things that are still happening today. Now we talk about a teacher, police officer, firefighters. Those are careers. Now you might think, oh, those are not very interesting careers, but one thing I'll tell you is that these kind of careers, they set you up for life, so to speak. You are one in a very small population, and when you have it, you show of what's it called, job security. So those are very interesting careers that you might think about, and those are the traits that you need for them. We'll talk about the skills also, and then some of the importance they do as well. STEM careers. Now this is the in thing. STEM, I think, literally just means that we don't know what the future is. We just want to bring science, technology, and just bring all of that together, and we see what comes out of it. Now, so some of the things that comes out of that, astronauts, engineers in whatever flavor they come, biologists, GIS, geographical information sciences. Those are things that are required that depend so much heavily on STEM, and they're very interesting. There are things that keeps you up at night. You have a problem in your head and you're always trying to solve it while you sleep. The very interesting kind of career you can get into, and but don't forget what it requires. They can be boring sometimes because you might just be the only one trying to solve that problem. So you don't want to have somebody that is a red. You don't want to have somebody that's wants to be the light in the room, because there's not a lot of that happening in this kind of career, because you are sitting down thinking about how to solve problems that have not even been invented yet, or problems that have never been solved in the future of in the history of humankind. So that's one of the things that you get with the STEM career. Um, Emerging careers, now these are things that are still emerging, and it's just as an example, we talked about AI specialist, machine learning specialist, drone operator, some of those things that they're still emerging. We don't know where they're going to go to. We don't know what is going to come tomorrow and take them over. There's still a lot happening in them. But these are the traits that you want to have to be able to keep up with those careers. So we're going to come to this part of the presentation after I'm done. But just to round up, so we talked about the fact that careers in technology, healthcare system, all of these are what are been categorized to be under modern careers. And then you are expected to explore, be curious, look around, go to LinkedIn, do your own research for your mentees, come speak from the point of knowledge, get to understand what is happening in the world, do critical thinking, be able to map what is going on out there with what is happening today, be able to see into the future, think about, opportunities out there, and that will get to you. And, there's never been a time that, your future is not really in your hands. We believe that you you do a lot, you do a lot to get to where you want to get to. And this is one of the time in life that with everything happening, your future is really in your hands, so to speak. So it is as much as you put in as the universe gives back to you. You put in a lot. Now, this is not guaranteed that everything will work out, but the point is that you have to do your bit. Now, some people might get lucky, some people might just discover, this. Some people that happens, and don't let us make the mistake of single story bias. Just because somebody made it in that does not mean you should get into it, or just because somebody failed in that does not mean you should fail into that. There's a lot of all of that you have to put into place. And I said I was going to steal one of this from one of my from one of my brothers. He said that the day you stop learning and evolving is the beginning of the end. He actually said the day you stop learning is the day you die. And I know that was a little bit banner, but then that's just the truth. What we have currently in current trend is that things are happening now. Look at what has been said about AI. December 2022, nobody knew about generative AI. Well, a lot of people knew about generative AI, but look at what has happened within 2022 and now. We've come from a sector that never existed to something that is, probably having a lot of footprint in our daily activity, in our daily reality. We've come from a time where, things were not in existence to now. I was just discussing with one of my interns at work, and I was trying to describe a phone, this dialer phone, and this guy's like, I was like, my goodness. Now we've come. The human generation has been existing for millennia, not one, two. But what we have seen within the last century means that things are just so evolving so fast. And when things are evolving so fast, what do you think human needs to do? You also almost need to evolve at the same speed. We are not in a generation where you can just be a farmer and then you are sure that even if you don't go to the town or you don't read the news, nothing is going to happen for the next 50 days or 50 months. Today, you blink, you wake up, things have changed. Today, very interesting facts. Now, let me share this. Data analysis was something that was very interesting in the last 5 years. This was even a pioneering field. People were like, oh, data analysis, everybody was getting into that. But today, data analysts will tell you, or recruiters will tell you, you better be careful if you go into data analysis. Things have evolved. You don't even want to do that anymore. You want to be sure of what you're doing. So we have to continue to learn. It is almost like a burden on us. But trust me, the day you stop learning, it's the day you define where you're going to get to. And God help us that it doesn't even turn against us. So with this viewpoint of mine, I hope I've been able to share some of my insight with us. And I hope that we've been able to get some few things out of that. Thank you very much. So thank you.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, there's a lot to take in from what you have presented within 30 minutes. And you actually manage your time very well. So thank you for that. On this note, I want to give people opportunity to ask questions, please use the hand raise button. However, at let's say 5 minutes to 7, we'll break out. If you can take all the questions, then we'll come back 7:05 again. Then we'll continue from there, because I believe we should be able to finish this within an hour and a half. So if you have any question, please use the hand raise button. So we'll give opportunity to ask your question. But whilst we are doing that, my brother, I would say you've done a very good job to this topic. And one of the points you mentioned there is about AI taking all jobs. People, they fly around with these facts, but I tell them it's a lie. Because take for instance, when we're growing up, you know, those technicians that could work on B2 car or 504, they remained so. That's what they know how to do. But when you started having new cars coming in, new innovation, they were not catching up. They are not learning new skills on how to repair cars. Those people these days, they're out of jobs. The same thing goes for fashion designers. Those people that could do clothes in the past, designs of the past, and they fail to catch up with what is happening. Today, they don't have customers anymore. But if, like you said, the thing that is important is continue to learn. But the day you stop learning, the day you start dying, because your death is recorded on that day. It's not biological dying. We are just saying that for you to live and understand what happens around you and how to navigate through difficulties. Another example I have is when I was in the bank, we have this guy. He said he wanted to go for masters in digital media or something like that. That was what the course was called. And we were asking him, why did you choose this course? Then he sat me down, particularly. He told me, Saeed, do you know that very soon, about 5 years to come, based on research, people will no longer be buying newspapers? I said, hang on, that's true. And everything has come to pass. These days, everybody read their news on their mobile phone, on their computer. How many people go to the street and buy newspapers? It's becoming lesser and lesser. The same thing, journalism. Before, you need to have a correspondent person out there trying to capture information and send back to the organization. These days, people will do it on social media for you. They capture it and put it online before you even know it. So what you just told us is that we need to continue to learn and update our skills. Modern technologies that we get these days that are helping us to do our jobs better, we need to be up and doing and learn by ourselves. What I want to add to that is that you don't want to wait for your organization to train you. If you have the money, train yourself. Because if you are waiting for your organization to do so for you, you don't know who else out there has done that. And when it's time for promotion, they'll pass you by. And again, I want to thank you for the disc that you've given to us. There are many tools out there that you can use to know your personality. And you got it well. I'm blue. I know that for a long time, because that's where I found myself. Even when I was in the bank, people used to tell me that. So people used to mistake obligation and passion, right? Obligation is you go to work 9 to 5. This is where you pay my salary. Where lies your passion? Is your passion in farming? Is your passion in the NGO? Who says you cannot do that by the side? So they said I'm wearing blue as well. So, in life, we need to know where we belong to, and then continue to update yourself, because anything you're passionate about, when they wake you from your bed, without even blinking an eye, you continue talking about that subject. So, and that's why our kids of nowadays, our youth of nowadays, when you tell them, when you're choosing a career, don't just look at the money. You need to enjoy what you're doing as well. Money is important, but you need to enjoy what you're doing. So I want to say thank you again for that wonderful delivery of your subject that you chose for us today. And I'm just checking the comment area whether there's any question for